One more song, that'll be enough for this day. Right? Look at all the trash.
I genuinely think that Prince opening for the Rolling Stones is one of the most fascinating episodes in Prince's early career. It is in many ways a true test of his resolve, dedication, determination and mindset when dealing with adversity. I owe a huge debt in this video to the work of Pierre Nilsson and Alan Beaulieu. I really hope I'm saying his name at least close to what it is, if not I apologise. Their two books, Dance Music Sex Romance and Before the Rain, are simply superb and reviews of both are in the works. After Mick Jagger saw Prince perform in New York at the Ritz concert in 1981, he was clearly very taken with what he had witnessed and requested that Prince and his band opened for the Rolling Stones in October of that year, alongside George Thorogood and Jay Giles. Prince was to start proceedings in the utterly huge Memorial Coliseum, which housed around 94,000 spectators in the early afternoon slot of 2 p.m. It's very interesting that Prince chose to take on this performance. On one hand, he was very much the darling star of Warner Brothers, who had made him front and centre as much as they could and were clearly putting effort into helping Prince become a long-term world star. But he'd always been the headliner of his shows, and whilst audiences varied in size, his reputation was growing by the day. Des Dickerson makes a very key point when he stated, "This could be the beginning of crossing over into an audience that we both want to have access to. The start of being all things to all people, a rock and roll band as well as an R&B band." It is crucial to also appreciate the immensity of the Rolling Stones' appeal and ability to fill stadiums. The attendances were becoming record-breaking, and just looking at the pictures of the concerts, it is staggering to see the colossal amount of people rammed into the arena. Looking at the beautiful and intimate pictures from Before the Rain, you can almost sense a real feeling of apprehension as Prince and the band pace the stadium and prepare for their performance. The atmosphere was clearly going to be electric, overwhelming, and quite possibly terrifying. Prince strode out to the first show, and in the words of Alan Beaulieu, Prince came out in a trench coat and bikini briefs, and the first song he did was Jack You Off, and that didn't go over too well with the bikers in front. You put this black kid in front of the Rolling Stones, you put any black guy in a trench coat and bikini briefs in front of bikers at noon. It was a bad situation. People were booing him, throwing trash and bottles at the stage. It was not pretty. Indeed, Grail Marcus reprinted an anonymous letter Ken Tucker of the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner received after writing a review of the concert. The letter is full of racist abuse and hatred towards Prince and his band and makes explicitly clear their race was a huge problem for some. After 15 minutes, the situation became intolerable and Prince and the band left the stage. Prince claimed that he saw the hate in people's eyes and he felt like he wanted to fight them. Bobby Z, quoted in Dance Music Sex Romance, felt that Prince needs the audience's attention to perform, but their attention span was so short because they're paying so much for a ticket and they will stand there for 8 hours before you play. We were the warm-up, which is exactly what that says. They didn't know us at all. They are there for one reason and one reason only, to see the Stones. Prince was clearly wounded by these events and immediately flew back to Minneapolis, vowing not to return for the second concert 2 days later. Steve Agnoli, Des Dickerson and even Mick Jagger urged him to return. Des said, "Let's not let some dirtballs throwing things at us run us out of town. Let's finish up in spite of what they do." Jagger commented, "I talked to Prince on the phone once after he got 2 cans thrown at me in LA. He said he didn't want to do any more shows. God, I got thousands of bottles and cans thrown at me, every kind of debris. I told him, if you want to be a really big headliner, you have to be prepared for people to throw bottles at you in the night. Prepared to die." It wasn't clear at the time whether Prince and the band would return. Alan Beaulieu noted that Saturday was a day off and I couldn't get news from the band or management. It didn't look like Prince was coming back. Prince, however, did return and changed up the show to include a more of a greatest hits collection from his growing catalogue, but the Rolling Stones fans were preparing an even more hostile welcome. Before the band took the stage, a plastic bag with chicken parts hit the stage and oranges, tomatoes, shoes and bottles were thrown. Prince, to his credit, stood his ground and attempted to front it out until again it became untenable and the set was cut short after just a few songs. Prince and his band had not faced this situation before, as Des made clear. "We've never found indifference before, let alone hostility." Bobby Z felt as if the backlash was almost inevitable. "We had to face it sooner or later because of all the critical acclaim Prince had been receiving." After the second show, Prince pulled out of the remaining Rolling Stones concerts he was scheduled to perform, including some at the Silverdome in Detroit. Roy Bennett, Prince's lighting and set designer and husband of Brenda Bennett of Vanity and Apollonia 6 fame, noted the impact. "Up until that point there was no negative feedback. I felt absolutely terrible. It was a big sting to his ego." This was a truly pivotal point in Prince's career, not least due to the fact that a few days later, on the 14th of October 1981, saw the release of Prince's brand new album Controversy. Prince had a choice here. Would he let their ferocious reception and hatred diminish his confidence and determination? Or would he simply learn from the experience, redouble his efforts and continue to make history? Prince never really opened for anyone again, although he would support Tamar on her tour, and of course he would pop up in surprise appearances from time to time in unlikely venues. I think Prince knew he very much needed to build his own large following, and that he was, as so often, just ahead of the curve, although without artists such as Prince altering that curve, the curve wouldn't change. Members of the Rolling Stones spoke affectionately for Prince when he left us, and obviously the crowd's reaction wasn't their intention. Prince released Controversy and began another tour, headlining. Little did he know he was just a year or so away from smashing into the public's fascination, and within a couple of years of becoming one of the biggest stars on earth. It is best summed up by Bobby Z, who felt like the whole episode was like a page out of a book. It's like the beginning, not the end. How right he was. Thank you.